Can't cry that it's over. We have to smile because it happened. Because look, we can cry for two reasons. One, RHOSLC is officially over, and two, we just did about 20 minutes of this podcast, and someone forgot to hit record. Uh,
Yeah. What a time to be alive for the bros.
God damn it. Hey, I just wanted to talk to you longer, pal, because I love
Yeah.
this. This is a way that I can delay the end of RHOSLC just a little bit longer. Is by technical problems.
Bros and shows. I gotta have me my bros and shows. Bros and shows. Bros and shows. I gotta have me my bros and shows.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bros and Shows. I'm your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always for the last time this season, RHOSLC Magoots. Well, what's up, dude?
Well, as you heard in our intro, we lost about 15 to 20 minutes of unseen footage, and you will never get that back. I don't even know what we said, but we are going to try to replicate all of that.
Yeah, we'll do our best.
We'll probably do better the second time around, so you, the listener, will actually benefit from this because now we've had some time to warm up, so to speak. Yeah, the voices are nice and warm, and we processed a couple of things. We figured a few things out, so this will be great the second time around. Hell yeah.
At least it's recording now, so no matter what happens, we've got the footage, we've got the audio. But let's jump right in. I don't want to waste any time because we start out with Jared Osmond, and obviously we know that this is not true or it didn't last very long because they've allegedly been broken up since June, even though the group lists off multiple times that they have seen them out in public making out. She's like, yeah, but we're just friends. We're just friends. Labels are no longer a part of their relationship. They do not get to use labels anymore because of how absurd this relationship is.
It works really well for you because you always have an issue with the semantics of relationships. For Brittany, we just throw all that out the window. We don't have to worry about any of that. We don't have to get into arguments about it. It doesn't matter because whatever she's saying is probably wrong or it's a lie or whatever it might be. It just simply doesn't matter. And again, the Salt Lake City production team comes through for us with a little editor's note. They're actually Instagram official now. So
yeah,
good for them. Yeah.
No, I guess. I don't know. But like he was allegedly going to come to the reunion, but then he canceled last minute. And they're like, well, what happened?
His ticket? I don't understand that part of it.
I don't know either. Like, they're like, well, what happened? And she's like, it's the same stuff, And the way that she describes it would be if she was dating somebody and there was a couple things that were irritating her that, every time I come over, his house is dirty, or every time I call him, he never answers the phone, like little shit. But it's not that. Her big issue with him that she just can't seem to get past is the fact that he won't stop texting single women.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's a massive fucking problem.
Hey, it's a slippery slope from he leaves dirty dishes in the sink or he doesn't throw his clothes in the hamper to he's just having a hard time not texting single women. There's just something about those single women that gets him going. We got to break that habit. We'll be all right.
He just can't seem to stop it. You know how it goes. Like, he just can't stop. I'm like, oh, Jared, you're doing it again. You
know how many there's a lot of beautiful children of God out there. We'd be doing a disservice to the church if Jared wasn't able to talk to them,
It's just embarrassing, man. I don't she lives on her own planet. She's in her own world. And these kind of definitions and explanations of everything prove that. She's so delusional. Like, that's what it comes down to. You said that in the last episode. Like, she is just the most delusional person. And she twists her narrative and her reality to fit what works for her. And that's not how real life works. And they asked Bronwyn, do you think that she's just attracted to the Osmond name? And she does dial that back a little bit. She's like, I don't know if that's it, but I have heard that Jared's the worst. Like, everybody talks about how shitty Jared Osmond is. And if you need further proof, just look at Twitter, the way that he talked about Bronwyn, calling her like a treacherous bitch and saying all these other things about her. He went on Twitter and said bad things about Brittany, the woman that he's quote unquote dating or palling around with, whatever the fuck they want to call it. And it brings up this whole micro penis debacle. I guess at some point there was a scene and it was in the after show that brought it up. And Bronwyn had made a reference to Jared's wiener, saying that it was the smallest. She heard the smallest thing in the world.
Yep.
This is a rumor. This is hearsay. But you want to know how you take a rumor and make it fact?
How?
You DM the person that claimed you had a micro penis and give the most micro penis energy in the history of little dick energy, because that's all I can surmise from this is that Jared Osmond does in fact have a teeny little weenie. because he DMs her and he goes, "You're a little bitch." And the backlash that I've gotten from this on social media, I guarantee that I'm twice the size of anybody that you've been with, and I could pick apart your anatomy, but I'm going to take the high road. It's like, dude, all you just did was confirm that you have a tiny penis, because nobody in their right mind would DM a woman and say, "I'm twice as big as any guy you've been with." It's like, sick, bro. No one cares about your dick size. We are not in high school. This is such a non-issue. And the only thing that you did for yourself was get people to think that, oh yeah, this guy must have a tiny wiener, because why would he defend it so tremendously in a DM? And this is another thing. We bring it up all the time with dudes that open themselves up to this, guys that have skeletons in their closet that come on these shows and they try to vie for the spotlight. They try to steal the thunder from one of the housewives. Why do you open yourself up to this shit? Because we would not be sitting here talking about you right now if you didn't bring yourself on the show. If you didn't DM a married woman about the size of your dick, we wouldn't be talking about it. Because guess what, Jared? We don't care about your dick. But here we are now talking about how small it is.
Yeah.
Because you perpetuate it.
I think we should lay off of him, because he did take the high road at the end of this by saying, right. I could rip your anatomy apart the way that you did to me, but I'm a classy guy. I'm going to take the high road here. You really took the high road there, Jared. You spent all that time and energy writing that full paragraph in there, ripping Bronwyn apart because she talked about your dick, which was talked about on the show, but we didn't have to use that audio. And that's the other thing. This probably wouldn't have popped up if you didn't message Bronwyn, if you didn't take that extra step, if you weren't on Twitter being a complete asshole, disparaging Brittany, who you're in a relationship with for now, and talking about all the other women and talking about the show constantly on Twitter. If you just stayed quiet, this probably would have stayed quiet. But instead, we have some unheard audio footage from Sean and Angie's anniversary party where a spa tech is talking about your dick. Says it to Bronwyn. Could have just stayed in there. We probably wouldn't have had to break it out of the vault, but here we are. And I love Brittany's response to all of this. There is a full paragraph of him being an absolute tyrant, of him being a misogynist, of him being a complete and utter asshole. And Brittany's response is, "Oh, I didn't know about that last part. I heard everything else. I was cool with everything else. Everything else you deserved, Bronwyn. But that last part, no. She actually didn't even say that she draws the line there. She just said that she didn't hear that part. So she read over everything else and she was cool with it. That last part took her by surprise. She's not upset with it, though.
No, because she still wants to be Jared Osmond's whatever that label might be at the current time. That's what she wants more than anything, that she looks the other way. This guy is a certified piece of shit.
Yep.
And not because other people are disparaging his name on TV, not because people are talking shit about your wiener, because you are coming on this show and going on social media and being a garbage person. That's why we don't like you. It's because of you, not Brittany.
What an asshole.
He's just
an utter asshole.
That's the best way to describe it. He's just a big, giant asshole. And it goes further into, they're asking, do you think that Jared was using Brittany to get famous? And it's like, no, I don't think he did that. He did say, I got Brittany on the show, but like, that's not one and the same. No, it is. He's taking credit for your appearance on this show. He's trying to piggyback
not
on
because
you.
Heather is friends with Brittany and brought her on the show, as it always works for Housewives.
Yep.
Let's get Jared Osmond in touch with Bravo. Sure, that's what happened.
That was Lisa that was friends with her, but yeah, wasn't it?
No, it was Heather.
It was Heather.
Yeah.
That statement alone goes to tell you, like, that's what this guy thinks. He thinks he is trying to piggyback on Brittany, similar to him using the Osmond name to stay relevant. Again,
Correct.
Dude, you have done nothing but be born onto Osmond Lane with a tiny penis, apparently. So
good old-fashioned Nepo bitch.
Yeah, little Nepo bitch boy is all that Jared Osmond is, and I will say it a million times, because of him, not because of Brittany. It's just so fucking funny. But she's like, this chapter's 1,000% closed. It's like, oh yeah, dude. And that's when they hit it with the caption where it's like, they are Instagram official after this. So the whole delusion is just crazy, but it gets to Brittany's daughters and the opinions of the rest of the women on the show after finding out that she was estranged from her kids. And, they do acknowledge that it's a tough situation and there are layers to this. It is a nuanced thing, but at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like, you told everybody, or you told Angie on TV that you have prioritized men over the relationships with your kids. So that's a tough place to come from, especially with this group that prides themselves on being good mothers. And they are. Like, across the board, you have a lot of very attentive mothers on this show. So it's going to land a little bit differently, especially when they see the way that you're moving throughout the season, what kind of pedestal you're putting Jared Osmond on. You know, the fact that you seem to talk about all the dudes that you're hanging out with. You bring a guy to a party and then Jared Osmond shows up. You have a lot of things going on, but we don't talk about your daughters a whole lot, except for the moments where you see the groups all together and you come up and you say, I have an announcement. And then you make an announcement about your kids. But it never comes up in casual conversation. We don't see scenes about you and your daughters. So yeah, a lot of people are skeptical.
Everybody's skeptical. And we know after watching all of this, typically you do that when you want the focus to be off of you, off of something bad that you did, whatever it might be. You use that to your advantage in Mexico when you got called out for recording. I love that everybody else is, you know, it's a balance between falling for it, which we saw towards the end, and not really giving a shit, which I think Bronwyn is the camp of not really caring about Brittany. Heather and Lisa might be the camp of, yeah, let's give her the benefit of the doubt here. Mary's the only one who stands out and calls her out for it. Like, yeah, you did that because you wanted the focus off of you, because you didn't want us to talk about it anymore. But it doesn't matter. Brittany is an enigma. She's not going to care. You can call her out for all the shit that she did. As we say a little bit later, you can call her out for the things that she says about herself. Nothing's going to land. It's just never going to work. She's never going to change. She's never going to do anything differently. She's always going to be pining for Jared's attention. That's just who she is. And she is not going to apologize for it because she thinks it's the right thing to do. So it's absolutely insane to me. And I guess her daughter goes with her to New York. So now, you know, it's a big thing. And I guess that's good. We're not going to disparage anybody trying to be a good mom, but she herself said that she prioritizes men over her daughters. So like, you're already kind of a bad mom. Like, you can't say something like that and not get griped for it.
No, and let's say you have been a bad mom up until this point and you're trying to make amends. Okay, great. We are rooting for that. Just because you're a bizarre human being or an alien, we don't really know yet.
We don't really
We're
know.
We're not rooting for negative relationships with your daughters. We hope that you're able to figure that out. We hope that she's able to come together with them and move forward. That would be wonderful for the kids and for her. But what you shouldn't do, what you definitely shouldn't do, especially when we have video evidence of your casting tape, is try to place the blame on Bronwyn for the estrangement of your daughters when Bronwyn just fucking met you and she's like, yeah, for 6 months. What? Bronwyn had nothing to do with this. Bronwyn was clearly gossiping with some women about it, which I'm sure other women have as well. And yeah, we have come to learn that Bronwyn is more shady than we thought she was. So was it out of pocket? Probably. But at the same time, she's just presenting information that she has heard through the grapevine because of you. This is your problem. And then it goes from 6 months. And she's like, well, she talked to my friend. And then my friends were telling my daughters that your mom's using you on the show, which also, by the way, not wrong.
It's not wrong. And also, are they your friends if they're talking to your daughters about them being used for the show?
Clearly, they're concerned.
Yeah, so there's a lot more here than just Bronwyn spreading rumors about me and telling my daughters wrong things that's making it harder for me to reconnect with my daughters. Like, no, nobody believes this. Not one person believes this. And Bronwyn doesn't even have to put up that much of a defense. She can just continue to say, I never talked to your daughters. I believe that Bronwyn has probably never spoken directly to your daughters. Definitely. If she's gossiping with other women, and I'm sure the way that this is presented, there's other women that know you, that might have a line to your daughters, that might run into your daughters, whatever it might be, that are talking about it because they're concerned of what you're doing. They are concerned about their well-being. So if that's what they're doing, and they're going to Bronwyn and saying, hey, you were on the show with her this year, what's your vibe on this? What's your perspective on what the hell Brittany's doing? Bronwyn's going to be honest. You're honest. She's not saying anything that you didn't say yourself. So I just don't understand it. And again, we're just stuck in this whole fucking loop of why are we trying to understand what Brittany's thinking and why she's thinking it.
She doesn't even know why she's thinking it or what she's thinking, because she also says for 6 months. And then 2 minutes later, she's like, for 3 months. It's like, is it 6 or 3? Is it Bronwyn's fault or not?
She doesn't keep track of it. That's the problem. She's not a good mom.
No, she keeps trying to throw things out there. And again, hopefully she's able to repair the relationship with her daughters. But the lack of accountability in this moment alone to try to put it on Bronwyn. is crazy. This is your fault. You prioritized relationships over your daughters. You admitted that. And once again, we have a moment where Britney says something that is used against her later, and she doesn't like how it sounds. And we'll get to that in a minute, but we get to it's a whole mishmash of things. This was a little tough to keep notes with because
this is the first one in the 3 episodes too. I felt the same way.
I had to start pausing, rewinding and stuff because it lumps in the overarching topic is religion, because we obviously have the bat mitzvah, the wine debacle when it comes to Britney and Mormonism, and the doing 3 guys, the high body count hair. But the first thing we discuss is the wine thing. And there's a statement made. It's not Angie's job to keep up Britney's Mormon appearance. I think Heather said that.
Yep.
That's the best way to put it, because throughout the entire season, we've watched Britney drink. We've watched her talk about her relationships with men, casual they may be. No one cares. Do you? You're an adult. You can drink wine. You can go boink some randos. It doesn't fucking matter. You're a grown-up. And guess what? In this day and age, literally nobody cares. The church will care. And that's when Heather says, you're living this double life right now. And she's like, what? No, I'm not. She's like, you are. Because if you were an active Mormon in the Mormon church, you're not allowed to drink. You're not allowed to have premarital sex. You're doing both of those things. You're talking about it when it's convenient for you, but then you get on a high horse when somebody tries to give you wine or repeat something that you've said verbatim in doing 3 guys. Yep. That's when you take an issue, because then you're like, oh shit, this is going to look bad for the church. And there is not a worse defense than if Lisa Barlow is coming to your defense about what it means to be a Mormon, because she is very much not. She's a Mormon 2.0, as she says, but she doesn't follow any of the guidelines.
Yeah, the rest of them are sitting there with Heather, Bronwyn, all of them talking about the same thing. Like, no, we understand that it's kind of hard when you're trying to do this, but at the same time, you're making it very much more difficult to deal with you, because you're just trying to balance on both sides of this, saying one thing, doing another, then getting upset about it the next week. Lisa talking about it makes no sense at all.
No,
she just has no awareness of what it is. And look, maybe it is. We don't know a whole lot about the actual inner workings of each. What's the word for congregation? What was the word they used? Do you remember?
Oh, for Mormons?
Yeah, they had it was a single word, single syllable. I can't remember. Whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm going to move past it. Yeah, we'll call it a flock. From flock to flock in the Mormonism church.
Quit flocking around.
Everybody's flocking around. They're flocking back and forth. But the way that it works for most of them is that you can't drink. You can't have premarital sex. And you're going to get judged if you're a single mother. There are things that the rest of these women can adhere to, that can speak up and say, yeah, no, I had to go through that. It was very difficult. Britney's not using them to say, yeah, you get it. You understand. That's how you make friendships. That's how you build emotional connections. Instead, she's saying you don't get it. And it's like, okay,
you guys
whatever.
Don't understand.
You guys don't understand.
Whitney was kicked out of the church for an affair. Bronwyn was kicked out of the church because she had a child out of wedlock when she was a teenager. Heather has written 2 books about being a quote unquote bad Mormon and how much the church fucked her up. So let's not sit here and act like we don't have some evidence to support. And that's, like you just said, what an easy moment for Britney to be like, you guys understand how hard it is. And she's like, no, fuck all of you guys. You don't get it. Lisa gets it. Lisa's like,
I bet
you can't say who isn't Mormon. It's like, you're not.
With how good this show was in this season specifically, I will probably go back and rewatch this at some point. I'm going to try to focus in on all of the moments that Bronwyn could have actually made a friend that she just chose not
that's
to.
Good. Keep it
because there probably is a lot. There's probably, I can think of at least 3 or 4 different instances where she's sharing and somebody else steps in and says, yeah, you know what? I've gone through something like that. You could have made a friend there. Instead, within 24 hours, you turn around and say, how dare you say that to me? That's not me at all. It's
you're going to ruin my relationship with Jared. Like, we'll call them MFMs, missed friend moments by Britney. Yeah, if you can try to keep a tally, that would be great. But we get to the slut shaming incident, and Bronwyn points out that Britney says a lot of things about herself. And then when they're mirrored and repeated to her, she doesn't like the way they sound, such as, all Angie really did in this moment was repeat what you had told her. And we have footage of that party. It was an unseen footage moment through earlier in the season. And it shows Britney saying, yeah, I'm doing 3 guys right now. And Angie's like, would your dad be okay with you doing 3 guys? Like, this is a convo that you had with Angie. So when Angie brings it up, she's not slut shaming you. And I do like the fact that people come to Angie's defense for the whole bat mitzvah incident, because Meredith did overreact. She didn't get both sides of the
Meredith
story.
didn't hear it. Yeah.
Well, she was looking for a reason.
She was
waiting
already,
for a
the
reason.
security was there because if Angie
Angie.
overstepped
Totally.
and did something that Meredith didn't like, she was going to kick her out and make a scene of it, which was incredible. Don't get me wrong. I loved every second of that. But yeah, it's just crazy to me. And I like that Bronwyn is able to stay composed in this. And that's the thing. When it comes to Britani, everybody's really able to stay composed while talking to her because she's so crazy. You just can't take her seriously. Like, she's not a threat. There's no issue. She's not going to bring something up that's going to make you play defense. You can just form a full thought and there's no issue at all. So I like that Bronwyn took this approach, because she even looked at Angie and said, yeah, I mean, the porn star comment was a little too far, but she was already activated at that point. So I'm going to excuse that. She's just repeating what Britani said. And Britani even said about her dad, yeah, you know, that's kind of how he lived his life. So I don't think there's going to be any issues there. It's like, okay, well, there's a little bit more to this. Maybe you could share. Maybe you could talk about your parents. Maybe you can get a little deeper with some of these women. No, we're not going to do that. I'm just going to completely change my tune in the next day and just act like I never said that.
Yeah. Yeah, and Andy changes the subject to, did it feel good when you admitted that you were having sexual relationships with that man, or sexual relations with that man? And she's like, yeah, it felt like this huge weight lifted off my shoulder. And I'm sitting watching this, like, and I'm like, fuck, are we really going to do this again? Are we really going to skate by the fact that this whole thing was just a diversion tactic from her answering about the video that she was recording on the bus? Thank God for Mary, because she's like, can we point out that she never answered for what she was doing? We were talking about her recording on the bus, and then she threw this shit out there, and she's like, well, I was trying to show good faith. I was trying to show that I'm not a liar. It's like, no, this makes you seem like you're up to something, and you're sketchy as shit, because you did lie. And
she's also still contesting the fact that she wasn't recording. She's still stuck on that. She said that it's only been a few seconds, and then she even blamed editing, saying maybe that was edited in there. It wasn't that long. We can't do time travel with editing. That's not how that works. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I was just filming the scenery. No, you weren't. You were trying to just fucking cop to it. It's just very easy. Just cop to it. And I think that if this was somebody else, if it wasn't Britani, because everybody's just pegged her for who she is and she's crazy. If it was any of the actual mainstays on the cast doing this, this would be a huge sticking point for the rest of the season until they admitted that they did it. But it's Britani, so it's like, here we go again. Let's just leave it alone. We can at least call out that you tried to deflect by bringing something up and you thought it was this big moment. And that's what I was saying earlier, where you get somebody like Heather and even Bronwyn stepping in saying, yeah, that is really hard. She just admitted that. But the other people don't care, and Mary doesn't like her at all. No, so she's, of course, going to point it out. And that is the truth. That is exactly what she was trying to do. Nobody else caught on to it because they thought she was just sharing, but that's insane to me. How do you not see this? How do you not see that she's just deflecting from it to try to get out of it?
I have no idea. And they go, like you said, they go through the excuses. It was the scenery. Congrats on a test. It was because I wanted to talk to Olivia, and I was also saving the video for later. She's like, it was all one and the same. You know, it was all true. It's like, no, it's not. And then a lot of the women are like, look, we watched the scene. And if you watch the scene back, it just shows her clearly recording the conversation, getting caught, and then hitting the stop record button immediately. And her defense is, that was abusive and I still haven't recovered from it. It's like, tough shit. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You deserve the backlash. And especially, this is all on the tail of Monica Garcia. This group is very protective of outside influences because of the Monica shit. So when they see you being sneaky and trying to record, it brings them back to reality Von Tease. It brings them back to a dark time for this show. They don't like that. So the whole defense that she has, like you said, just simply say, you know what? I thought it was a funny moment. I was trying to record it because I was going to send it to some people to show them how wacky this group is, and I got caught.
Yeah. She just thinks that usually her case is just deny, and people will get over it. I think that people are just tired of dealing with you, and that's more likely the case here.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely tracks more than anything else, but we get to Puerto Vallarta, and we get into Lisa and Bronwyn, but Lisa does point out that there was some parts missing to this whole thing. And she said, I wanted Bronwyn to have the biggest room, which is in the other villa. Because of the dog bite. It was the same room that I had, so I wanted her to have the same room. I believe
talk about the dog bite at all.
You didn't, but I like Yeah, I do remember that. We just glossed over the fact that she had a mangled arm and a mangled leg, and we're just like, nah, we're not going to discuss this. Let's get on the plane and fly. But I do believe that Lisa gave her the big room intentionally.
So do you think that because I had this thought too. I think that this was up front, like, all right, let's give her the bigger room, let's make her comfortable. But because of Bronwyn's reaction, she didn't tell her that. I think that's true.
I can see that.
I'm with you. I could see that where, there's a lot of people in the discourse online was saying that, that she thought of this later. She just gave her the bigger room, but it was just a coincidence. And she thought this was a good excuse. Like, I don't think so. I think she really did give her the bigger room. And because Bronwyn reacted, acting like she was alienating her from the rest of the group by putting her with the rejects over there, she's like, fuck that. I'm not going to tell her that I did this out of the kindness of my own heart. I did this because I wanted to help you, but now fuck you. I'm going to make you think that. So I think that that's probably the case.
Yeah, I think there's some merit to that. And I think as we get into the Lisa drama throughout the season, her big issue this season has been lack of accountability for a lot of people. It seems that the Lisa Barlow shtick that she's gotten away with for a very long time is starting to wear thin. And we talked about it throughout the season, and we've noticed the women getting a little more irritated by it. The fact that she's always playing the victim, the fact that if people press her at all, she always goes to the defense of, well, that's who I am. And if you don't like me, then deal with it. It's like, well, that's not taking accountability.
Yeah.
And in a lot of these instances, you are wrong. And the conundrum that is Lisa Barlow is when she does these things, I don't think she's intentionally malicious. I think that she's in her own world. I think that she is very selfish. And I think that it gets her in trouble because she doesn't think things through before saying them. And then her first instinct is to get defensive, to try to explain these things, why she's doing it. And by doing that, it emboldens her to be like, yeah, see, I'm not in the wrong. But it's like, yeah, but you don't understand how that comment affects other people. Or, like, for example, FaceTiming Heather in the hot tub in Palm Springs. You don't think that you're wrong. You say that everyone's going to apologize to me at the end of this. It's like, objectively speaking, the host of the trip is not cool with this person, and you just FaceTime them from the hot tub with no thought as to how that would affect Bronwyn. That embodies exactly what people's issue with Lisa is. She doesn't have foresight to be like, oh, maybe this is a bad move for the people around me. It goes into the Todd shit on the boat and the lack of defense that she gave for Bronwyn. And we saw it happen live, and we know that that's what happened. And it shows the scene again. I forgot that after Angie gets off the boat and says, I feel bad for her, Lisa's response is, oh. It's, oh, Todd's going to be so pissed. So she's like, oh, surprised that anybody feels sorry for her. And
She's
again,
like, wait, you feel bad for Bronwyn after all of that? I feel bad for Todd that he has to watch this on TV. Like, that's not the right reaction, Lisa.
No. And her defense to that is like, well, after that, you were saying, fuck Todd this and fuck Todd that. And so then when I defend him, then now you're changing your tune and defending him. She's like, I'm allowed to say what I want about my marriage.
Correct.
You are allowed to talk about your own marriage. You can say whatever you want because it's your marriage. But when you talk about my marriage, that's a problem. Just like when people talk about your marriage or even reference John or your kids, you go off the deep end. Even if it's nothing bad, you act like it's the end of the world. So this double standard that we see relentlessly with Lisa Barlow, no matter what the topic is, she's held to a different standard in her own mind. And it does appear that this was like the first full season of people trying to shake her so that she can see that. But because Lisa is Lisa, she will always get into this shell and defend her stance rather than just say, oh, I didn't see it that way. That wasn't my intention, because I do believe that. I don't believe her intention is to be an asshole.
I don't think it is either. She just only thinks about herself. Yeah.
Yes.
Like, that's the only thing. The only things that actually matter to Lisa are things that are actually going to affect her or her family. And she even says that a little bit later too when she's talking about her family. But that is her mentality. She does not think about how other things are going to impact other people around her. She just does what she wants, says what she wants in any given time. She's not thinking, even if there's a huge dramatic thing going on around her, she doesn't think about the implications ever. She has no social awareness. She only has Lisa awareness, which is just who she is.
That's a good way to put it.
The faster that she can just admit to that and say, you know what, guys, that's just who I am. I only think about me and mine. Okay, great. Maybe you can open up a little bit more about the other people? No? Okay. All right, fine. At least you admitted that that's how you are. Stop trying to create this facade of, I was doing this for you and I was
I'm
defending
such a
you
good
here.
friend.
There is no defense. You absolutely never defend anybody unless we can draw some sort of like path back to Lisa. Like, how is this actually going to impact you? If it's just you sticking up for a friend, we've never seen it.
Yeah, and she calls out Bronwyn. She's like, I've never seen you stand up for me. It's like, whoa, 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 Miss Lippy.
Yeah.
We have multiple scenes throughout the season where she does stick up for you. We watched it. She was trying to do whatever she could to be your friend because she wants
the whole
to
beginning
be,
third of the season, she defended her. And obviously there was a turning point, and that's what happened.
That's what happened, and that's what will happen when it's a one-sided friendship. You had your chance to repay the favor on the boat, and you took Todd's side.
Yep.
That's all it is. And actions have consequences. So you burnt that bridge and then you act so surprised and you throw it back on Bronwyn when shit falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's Lisa Barlow 101. But we get into Meredith crying and allegedly throwing up. And Brittany stands by this. She's like, I woke up and the sound of vomiting is irrefutable. I knew what I heard. I woke up to it. And we get a great Meredith moment because she's like, I'm so sick of the lies. You do not know. Were you in my room? You're a liar. And we get the Gandalf.
I don't even doubt, though. Like, I don't think that Brittany has any reason to lie about that. Like, she probably did hear her throwing up. But Meredith, just because of who it's coming from, is not going to admit it. If it was
she's
Whitney,
also concerned of the implication.
Yeah, and look, I mean, you can explain away the implication. You can make everything go away. I think it's just because it's coming from Brittany. She's like, absolutely not. I was not throwing up. It's like, yeah, you probably were. I mean, she's not wrong. The sound of throwing up is not something that you mistake for anything
Pretty
else.
Discernible.
The sound of crying on the phone is not something that you mistake for anything else. She probably was doing that, and we even heard it at the last part of that Puerto Vallarta trip. You could hear everything from outside the room when everybody else is standing out there and you're yelling at Lisa. That's pretty much what we hear. So I don't doubt it, but it's Brittany, so I don't really care, and it doesn't really have any implications on anything else, and it also delivers us some very funny Meredith moments, so I'm not going to hate it.
But that's the best way to put it. It is like, remember your source. No one cares. If you let this go, it's over. But you give attention to it. So now people are like, well, why were you throwing up? And again, my first thought's not eating disorder. My first thought is flu, drank too much, like doesn't feel great. Fish, I don't know, something.
Montezzuma's revenge, I don't know.
Yeah, do you drink the water? Drink the tap water? Like, what happened?
Oh.
So it's not that deep, but you gave life to it because you went back at Brittany because you're sick of the lies.
So many lies.
We get word that Meredith has talked to Jen Shaw, which is alarming, and she tries to defend it way too much. And Whitney pointing out, isn't that like talking to Monica? Meredith's defense was solid. She's like, no, I didn't seek her out to dig up dirt. She called me on the phone. She should have left it there because instead she tries to defend Jen Shaw, saying, look, she's served her time. She's paid restitution. She's admitted wrongdoing. It's like, no. She is still serving time. She got a comically shortened sentence. It is continuing to get shortened. She is not in the free and clear. I've said this a million times. I do believe in the prison reform system. If you serve your time and you come out and then you prove after the fact that you're no longer a piece of shit, by all means, continue to live your life. Move forward. She hasn't done that yet. She's still in jail.
She's still serving time. She's still paying restitution. So no,
she'll be paying restitution forever.
And it is. I think alarming is the right word too, because you can see the rest of the women on the cast are like, the fuck? Like, why are we talking to Jen? Heather kept her fucking mouth shut the whole time. She didn't say a word. And
Jen
Heather's not on
too.
Yeah. Well, she said she's not on the call list and she hasn't spoken to her, which, you know what? I have no reason to believe that she is, but probably would be. And the fact that Meredith is not only talking to her, but brings it up at the reunion and also says and defends what she's doing, saying that she is on the right track back, that is alarming. I don't want to hear that. And thank God again for Mary stepping in, because no, Mary would not receive a call from Jen Shaw. And if she did, she would not talk to Jen Shaw. And thank God again for Mary, because she points out that she lied to everybody. Meredith, who has such an issue with liars, Lisa, who has such an issue with liars, you guys should be looking at Jen and saying, you're the biggest liar of them all. You might not be on Monica's level because it's a completely different thing, but you lied to all of us. Why are you now all of a sudden allowing somebody back into your life, allowing somebody to call you from prison after lying to you for that long?
That caused
that's
this much trauma amongst the group.
Yeah.
Why don't defend it either? Be like, yeah, I answered the phone. Like, it was a weird conversation. She called me, so I talked to her. I'm not forgiving her. Like, she has a long way to go. Like, there's so many different ways to go
there's an
about
agenda.
it.
There's
She's like, you don't believe in second chances? It's like, yeah, but like, no.
Redemption for Jen. We want to start that arc right now. No, Meredith, you of all people should not start that arc.
She robbed old people. Like, no, that's just not a thing. But
she accused you of spreading rumors that led to her arrest. Like,
yeah, why are you talking to her? I don't fucking know. But let's get to the texts, because like Bronwyn says, and she kind of echoes what the audience thinks, like, I wish everyone committed to this whole thing, because we obviously got Brittany's answer. Lisa didn't go. Meredith didn't go. So for the ones that actually did it, it did seem cathartic. It did seem like it solved some issues. People were able to move forward.
And I feel like Bronwyn should be the person that talks about this, because what Angie said about her was the most cutting.
Yeah, that was ruthless.
If Bronwyn can look back at that and say, you know what, it was cathartic. It was good to get all that out in the open. I wish you guys did that. You should be listening to her, because she got absolutely skewered.
I know. So the fact that we get stuck on the Lisa threesome rumor, which, was it dirty for Whitney to bring that up? For sure. That was a different level. It was weird, but at the same time, it's such a laughable rumor. It's like such a non-issue that if she had, looking back now, if she had not responded, and it could have been because it came from Whitney, and obviously there's a history there, and I won't discredit that part of it. Like, it's more inflammatory coming from her, and this does throw an allegation out there. But her response by bringing Sean into it was weird, and throwing out another gay rumor about him. And then to get up from the table and leave, it was like, well, you didn't have to give this much life to it. You could have just said, like, this is fucking insane. Thanks for telling me, I guess. But here we go again, Whitney, like something like that. Not saying you need to be kumbaya with her after that, because it's still a damning rumor. But the reaction, I don't think was necessary, because it just looks bad on her. But Whitney's trying to do the absolute most now. She's like, why can't you just burn it? Just burn it. It's like, dude, you're fourth on the couch.
Yep.
Like, settle down. Like, can we let Lisa talk and just spin whatever narrative she wants to spin about this? Then you can respond. But it's just this crazy back and forth. And once again, Lisa pulls into her shell and defends everything. She's like, I was the youngest of 6, so I'm very protective of my family, and I've always been a good friend. I put people's needs above my own. And Bronwyn's shaking her head, and she's like, why are you shaking your head? She's like, you just tried to pull your phone out to say some shit about me.
Yep.
This is when Lisa puts her foot in her mouth. It's like, you're not a good friend. You don't think about other people. That's okay. I mean, we watched you ignore your husband after you asked him a question and you guys were alone in a room together.
Yeah.
You are self-centered, but lean into it. Admit it. Just be like, that's me. Like, you say it all the time. That's me. I'm Lisa Barlow. If you don't like it, get the fuck out. So just own it, because it makes way more sense than you continuously defending your shortcomings, because you don't look inward. You don't change.
No, and we do say, and we have said in the last couple of episodes, I think in the first reunion episode, that people do go after Lisa all the time because she is the HBIC. She is the one who's leading the charge at this part. So you have to expect people to come after you, but you can't say everybody's always coming after me. Like, it is a double-edged thing where you can't be sitting there saying, oh my God, everybody comes after me all the time. It's so tiring. You like being the head of the table, head of the cast. You love being the face of the show. So you can't sit there and say, I don't understand why people come after me all the time. It would go so far if you could just let that roll off and laugh at things and make sure that people stay where they are, because that is the role that you need to lead. So sitting here and crying about everybody coming after you all the time is tiring, because you do open yourself up to people making comments like, you're not a good friend. There is so much material. There's so many examples of Lisa not being a good friend. As we said earlier, she has Lisa awareness and nothing else. There is something to be said about that. And if you just owned it, it would go such a long way, because that would solidify you as the head. Right now, it looks like you're vulnerable. It looks like you're open, and people can come and take your spot. There's weaknesses. And if you keep doing this, you might have to take a step back, and you don't want to do that because you want to be the face. So it's just so funny to me that she's going to sit there and cry about everybody going after her and not being a good friend, because you're not a good friend. Just own it.
Yeah, that's it. Like, it would do you a lot of favors. There would be less to pick on you about, because you'd be like, I need to work on it. Bye.
Very simple.
But you get like a kumbaya moment at the end, I guess, where Whitney and Lisa, she's like, "Look, I hate you, but I love you. Like, I got a place in my heart
Yeah, it was
for you for
weird.
some
Little
reason."
seat switcheroo. Whitney
Yeah,
gets
the
up and
sweet
sits down. That's the
switcheroo,
first time I've seen that.
and it looks like they're cool. And then she's like, "Yeah, but she just needs to take accountability." Lisa's like, "Here
Yeah.
we go about accountability." I'm like, "Oh, we were so close. We were so close." But they're able to come together, and it does seem like most of the rifts in this group are at least on the way to being mended. As we know from
Yeah.
some Twitter battles, there's still some people at
There's
odds,
still
but
some, yeah. But you know
I
what?
think
They're
that's
in a
normal.
much better place. And it sets up for another fucking incredible season
I
too.
know we're
Because you
teed
can
up.
kind of see where the forms are gonna head, like where the factions are gonna start forming, rather,
Mhm.
where you're gonna see probably something like Angie, obviously Angie and Mary, very close. Mary's been starting a lot more. It seems like she's enjoying being a bigger part of the show, having some input. She's a lot more open to a lot of different things. I think Bronwyn's going to be on that side as well. We're not going to have such a crazy divide in between because it looks like some of these things were repaired. And obviously, Whitney's going to go right back to being at Lisa's neck the entire fucking season because that's what she does. You're going to have Heather floating, but it looks like we have a really great cast. And even to the point where Brittany's still in the back. She, for whatever reason, I don't know why she left the stage. I guess just because she's a friend of.
They probably told her to, yeah.
You can keep her out there. I would have had no issues with that. And it's even funnier that she's standing on the edge, like, I should be out there. I want to hear a nice text message. Why is nobody saying anything nice about me? Yeah, she got a beer. She just wasn't able to cheers anybody, which is even funnier.
Yeah, it's really good.
They have such a great cast. And if they make any changes at all, I'm going to be so furious. I'm going to be so upset because this is setting up again for such a great season. These dynamics are so perfect that there's nothing that you should change at all. And I love that. And that's what I hope as we're getting out of this season, an incredible fucking season. I don't want anything to change because they are in such a good spot.
I agree. Perfectly said. But let's get to some questions and finish this bad boy up. And a great one to start with is from Petrovan. Was anyone else scared that Brittany was going to run back to stage after she was told to leave? I wasn't scared. I was hopeful.
I was hopeful.
I was hopeful she'd get back out there.
Oh man.
Interesting. From Gianna G. D'Imperio, who claimed Lisa as the HBIC because she's not mine. Look, you can argue that you have a different HBIC, but I think that she is the head of the
arguable.
Show.
Yeah.
Yeah. From Face of the Angel, does any other show ever have a chance of matching this perfect season? # Go Birds. Hell yeah, Go Birds. It's a tall order.
I think it's a tall order, but if we were to say that any other show wouldn't have a chance to match this, we'd be selling ourselves short because we want everybody to try to match this, right? We want another good show. We want another great season. So I'm not going to say that they don't have a chance because that would be closing off our minds. And you know what happens when you close off your imagination? You don't have a fun time.
You grow up, and then you get kicked out of the Lost Boys. Right?
Yeah. From High Pony Studio, Shooter, now that season is done, do you think Angie was deserving of Center Snowflake? I think she deserves something in the center area, but still very center. I don't think so.
Yeah. I think she deserved it. I think she deserves it. I think she brought more this season. I think that she
brought more, but like center Snowflake? No, I don't think so. No.
I think so. Let's do one more, and I won't read the name, but I do want to reference this because I don't want to blast you for asking the question. But not a question, but did Heather lose the ability to see what's right and wrong when she lost the weight? I would like to stop asking weight-centric questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I think that's not fair to say. I think people grow and evolve regardless of their weight, and I don't think that it had anything to do with it. And I feel like the more that we allow for these kinds of questions to happen, the more Heather has to read her name in the comments and her weight, and that has to fucking stink. So no, I don't think so. And I would hope that we can separate ourselves from weight questions.
And also, that was a question. You can't say not a question and then ask a question just because there's no question mark there.
Yeah, but I don't want to.
Let's be better.
Let's just be better. We don't need to talk about weight.
Last one, because we didn't talk about it, from Bailey Clem. Did you guys choke up with Andy and Mary saying such nice words about each other? Yes, I thought that was
sweet.
I love that. It's such a nice send off for Mary, who had such a crazy season, such a great season in our eyes, such a tough time. You know what? All the roses to her.
Yeah, she did a phenomenal job. She did. It was, look, everyone brought it. Great fucking year for so many different reasons. Drama, emotions, laughs, cries, smiles, you name it, we did it. But until next season, We will continue to think about this one, but yeah, bravo to the ladies of RHOSLC because that was a perfect season.
It really was.
But you got anything else?
Nope.
Well, that's our show. Bros gotta go.
Good job.